Ladies and gentlemen, it's a sad but glorious day, the final Sunday installment of Bet for the NFL season. Rams, 49ers, Chiefs, Bengals, Fulghum, and Fortenbaugh. Welcome to the show. Thank you for checking us out today. That's Tyler Fulghum. Looking good, feeling good. How do you feel about your Rams today? Don't worry about the spread. Nervous?
I mean, always nervous. It's a big game, but I mean, no one, I think, at least on Daily Wager, they believes in my Rams. I kind of like when everyone's picking against your squad.
It's a great spot to be in on Daily Wager. When we're all lined up on one side, go the other way, make money. Make money checking us out on YouTube as well, youtube.com/ESPN Sports Betting. Lots of YouTube shorts rolling out, NBA picks, NFL picks, and everything in between. Erin Dolan will join us in just a moment, but we begin with market movers. Let's examine the market for the championship games to determine what has been taking place and make some sense of it. Let's start with the AFC Championship. Kansas City did get as high as -7.5. It is now 7 flat across the board.
Yep.
No more shopping. Everywhere I have looked, it is 7. Total has gone from 51.5 up to 54.5. You surprised that there's that much Bengal money overweighing the public money?
A little bit.
Shocking.
A little bit there. I'm not surprised, though, that total has shot up 3 full points, considering what Chiefs games have generally been in the postseason.
Then we look at the NFC Championship game. 3 installments of Rams 49ers this year, and it looks like 3 installments of the Niners as a 3.5-point dog. The first meeting was in San Francisco. Niners were a 3.5-point home dog. Second meeting, week 18 in LA, 3.5-point dog. And again, a 3.5-point dog. I got to be honest, a little nervous. Normally when you're around a key number like this, you'll see some sort of movement. Remember Alabama, Georgia?
I do.
As soon as that 3 hit for Georgia, you saw Bama money push it to 2.5. I'm wondering, does that make you feel a little bit better that it hasn't gotten to 3?
Yeah, because every one of us here on Daily Wager loves that 3.5 over that key number of 3 with the 49ers, given the recent dominance, given the style of game they like to play, given the way their defense has played. So I don't know why it hasn't moved down to 3 and helped out those Rams backers, but here we are.
More on that game in a little bit. We are going to begin with the AFC Championship game. Let's talk money. Let's talk ticket counts to give you an idea of where the public is currently at. The ticket count right now, 54% of every bet made at Caesars Sportsbooks on the Kansas City Chiefs, 64% of all the money on the Kansas City Chiefs as well, and yet the line moves to Cincinnati.
Interesting. How? Why? Oh? I do think that I do think the Bengals are a good team. I do think Joe Burrow shows up, but man, it is hard to bet against Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs. Not a comfortable spot to be in.
I mean, the Chiefs have covered 8 of their last 10, and they just beat Buffalo in the game of the year, and the ticket count and money might be on them, but it's moving to Cincinnati. So,
Interessante.
championship weekend means championship reporting from the deepest arsenal in the business. The location is Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City. The ace reporter is Kimberly A. Martin. Kimberly, the Bengals have had some trouble in protection, giving up 9 sacks last week in their win at Tennessee. How do they fix it this week against Kansas City?
Joe, protection has been a big issue for the Bengals all season. Including the playoffs, Joe Burrow has been sacked 62 times. And left tackle Jonah Williams said it is never a good feeling when you give up that many sacks as an O-line, but we know our job. Every week the assignment is to protect our quarterback, and that won't change today. Now last week, Joe Burrow was sacked 9 times by the Titans. In week 17, he was sacked 4 times by these Chiefs. So protecting him today against this Kansas City front will be pivotal. Now, for more with the Chiefs, here's Sal Paolantonio.
All right, thanks, Kimberly. Well, I asked head coach Andy Reid yesterday, what did you learn from that loss at Paul Brown Stadium week 17 on January 2nd? He said, Sal, the Bengals are for real. Record-setting performance in that game by Joe Burrow and rookie wide receiver Jamar Chase. So what will the Chiefs do differently in this football game? Well, in that game on January 2nd, you saw Jamar Chase line up to Burrow's right side, single receiver to the boundary as a so-called Z receiver. And the Chiefs had one-on-one coverage. Charvarius Ward, one-on-one on Jamar Chase. And the Burrow to Chase in that game lit the Chiefs' secondary up over and over again. So I think what you'll see In this game, Steve Spagnuolo, the Chiefs defensive coordinator, bracket coverage on Chase. Yes, he'll bump him at the line of scrimmage. They'll also have a safety over the top. They don't want Chase to burn them again in this football game, Joe.
Thanks, Sal. And we'd like to believe that the Chiefs will do something different against Jamar Chase. He only went for 10,000 yards in the initial encounter, but edge to Kimberly A. Martin. She had the Gucci scarf. Sal just in the classic.
I saw the J's, too. She's rocking some black AJ1s, I think I saw on
Crushing.
Twitter. So
Speaking
Kimberly
of
always
crushing,
looking fresh.
Speaking of crushing, look who's joining us. Erin Dolan joins the program. Edie, we appreciate the time. Let's start with the AFC Championship. Chiefs laying 7, total of 54.5. You got everything on the menu at your disposal. What's your favorite bet for this game?
So I'm looking at Kansas City first half team total over 16.5 points. We saw this the last time these two teams met back in week 17. The Chiefs jumped out to a very quick start. They had 28 points in that first half. Now I know historically in the playoffs the Chiefs have started off semi-slow, but I think considering the Bengals defense is not great against the pass and not amazing against the rush, they might be able to put up some big numbers and expose them, especially starting off hot, because that's what they're going to have to do, especially if we think this is going to be such a high-scoring game. The Chiefs don't have another choice but to come out pretty hot in that matchup. Another one I'd like is Chris Jones to record a sack. We've already heard from multiple reporters already on the show that one of the issues that Joe Burrow has with his offensive line is that they don't really protect him. He was sacked 9 times last week, 11 times so far in the postseason, and Chris Jones already sacked him twice in that week 17 matchup. So I do like Chris Jones to record a sack. Another one is Patrick Mahomes over his passing and rushing yards combined. It was at 328.5. It's now at 333.5. Keeps moving up, but still, nonetheless, I do think that considering he's hit over this number in passing yards alone in both games so far in the postseason, I really like this number for his over.
All right, robust offerings from Erin. I got one, and it's correlated to the last one she gave you. Patrick Mahomes over 293.5 passing yards only. We both, it seems like, think this game is going to be a shootout. I just don't see the Bengals not showing up. I certainly don't see Patrick Mahomes in that offense not showing up. So in a shootout, of course, Mahomes is going to bring a lot of ammunition to the party. 293.5 just seems a little bit low for a guy who was averaging in his 2 playoff games this season 391, almost 100 yards more than this threshold. One of those games went the overtime. The other one that didn't, he threw for 404 against Pittsburgh. His career average in the postseason is 310.6. The Bengals can rush the passer a little bit. Trey Hendrickson is very good off the edge, but that secondary is not going to scare anyone. Good, not great. When you have Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, Byron Pringle emerging, Jerick McKinnon now out of the backfield, too many weapons for a guy like Patrick Mahomes, who always brings it. I think there's a lot of points on the board, and I think Mahomes puts a lot of passing yards in the stat sheet.
My apologies, I didn't hear a word you said, not because I don't love you, but because I was still trying to focus on the fact that Erin fits this show so well. Told to give just one bet, she somehow unloads 3, so now she gets a new nickname. Erin, all gas, no brakes, Dolan, clearly blowing right through all the stop signs.
I thought we had to give them all at once today. See, I can't keep up with this. Sometimes it's a game pick, sometimes it's a prop, sometimes they're combined. I can't keep up.
Whether you get it right or not, we're going to rip you. That will be the most consistent thing you find on this program. But since you opened the door, I'm giving out 2 as well. All right, I'm giving out 2. I was forced to choose between my 2 Joe Mixon props. So I'm going with both. Over 3.5 receptions, over 28.5 receiving yards. Mixon has been more involved in the passing game down the stretch. He's eclipsed both these totals in each of his last 4 games. Why? Because Cincinnati needs them, especially with the breakdowns in protection. Okay, go back to week 17 against Kansas City, 8 targets, 7 receptions, 40 yards. Clearly crushing these thresholds, all right? With the issues in protection, they're going to need to get the ball out of Burrow's hands in a hurry. And when that happens, you check it down to your man, Joe Mixon. Total's very high for this game. Bengals is a sizable underdog. The thought process should be that they're throwing often and early, and that we end up eclipsing 3.5 and 28.5. See, that's how we do it. So that really, Erin, makes you and I look great as overachievers, and Tyler looks lazy because he only gave 1. I don't know what to do, Fulghum.
You know what? It's efficiency. Okay, that's what I'm here for. It's efficiency. Okay?
Efficiency. All right, Erin, sit tight. We're going to come back to you in just a moment. But for right now, we want to take a look at the splits, money and tickets for the NFC Championship game. 54% of the tickets, 66% of the tickets on the Los Angeles Rams, 63% of the money on the Rams. Again, though, not bringing it down to 3. Does that surprise you?
It is surprising. It is very, very surprising that more people aren't leaning into the Niners' recent dominance in this series.
I cannot wait for this football game. Sunday afternoon in Los Angeles marks the 3rd time the Rams and the Niners will square off this season, with San Francisco holding a 2-0 lead in the series. For more on the underdog 49ers, we turn to man, myth, legend Jeff Darlington, who's joining the show. Jeff, I want to start with this. Last week, you were in Tampa covering Tom Brady and the Buccaneers. You were complaining that it was a bit cold for your liking. How is the temperature in Los Angeles for you today?
It's cold. I have a coat on. Diana Russini, who you'll hear from as well on the Rams, she's trying to walk around with no coat on. I don't understand that at all. It's definitely too cold to not have a coat on in Los Angeles.
All right, let's get down to the real business now that we've got the weather in LA handled. The 49ers sacked Aaron Rodgers a season high 5 times last week in the divisional round. How does the team plan to emulate that performance Sunday night against Matthew Stafford?
Well, first of all, you mentioned that game. The game before that, they had 5 sacks as well. And really what's interesting is that Matthew Stafford has struggled in his 2 games against the 49ers this year. He had 2 picks in each of those games during the regular season. 2 of his 5 lowest passer ratings on the year also came in those games. So it's going to have to play out different, because right now it does feel like the 49ers have Stafford's number a little bit. This will have to be a different type of game for Stafford if he's going to have success and stamp his ticket to the Super Bowl.
Meanwhile, Jeff, the other QB in this matchup, Jimmy Garoppolo, it seems like the Niners are winning in spite of him, not because of him. I mean, he's not throwing touchdown passes, not throwing for a lot of yards, yet here they are in the NFC title game. Is there anything Kyle Shanahan and crew might try to do to get Garoppolo going, so to speak, against this Rams defense?
Fast passes. Remember that one. Against this same defense last time around, it was actually Jimmy Garoppolo getting the ball out faster than any other quarterback during that week. He's 5th on the list in the NFL when it comes to his fast release. That is the recipe that Kyle Shanahan wants to continue to see from Garoppolo. Fast passes. He doesn't want him making mistakes. He doesn't want him costing them the game. Get the ball out fast and let the rest of the offense do its thing.
Great stuff as always, Darlington. Stay warm out there. We know Southern California can get hostile.
I will.
All right, that's the story with the 49ers. Now let's go to the other sideline and welcome in Suns Out, Guns Out, Diana Russini. What's up, Jersey? Is Darlington full of it? Is it warm or cold out there?
Well, here's the thing, guys. I don't know if you guys heard, but Kleenex changed their names to Darlingtons because they're so soft. So that's what we're going to be calling that moving forward. Guys, it's beautiful out here. I don't know why that man is wearing a coat, but then again, we all know he's a little bit of a priss. But that being said, guys, it's going to be a perfect day here for the NFC Championship game, where we know Sean McVay is going to try to do everything he possibly can, especially on offense, to try to get the big monkey off his back, and that being Kyle Shanahan, knowing that the Niners have beat them 6 times in a row.
Incredible. I don't want to ask any more questions. I feel like we got everything we needed to know right there. You know, the Rams missed 19 tackles in that Week 18 loss to the Niners. It's easy to come out and just say, look, tackle better. Why do you think the Rams have had so many problems against the Niners? Like you said, they've lost 6 straight, and the Niners have won 5 of those as an outright underdog.
Yeah, and you always hear tackling's about attitude, right? And that's not the issue with this Rams team, because they've got the attitude. They know they need to be physical. But when I was talking to them about the whole idea of poor tackling against this Niners team, I had a player say, you know, sometimes it's not about us missing it. It's about the players forcing us to miss it, meaning obviously Devo and George Kittle, they do such a good job of getting those missed tackles. So that's been part of it, but it's really been about getting all the guys around the ball after the missed tackle. That's got to be the focus today. But overall, in terms of that physicality, that's the biggest component. Jalen Ramsey saying that's really going to be the deciding factor in this game, because they know this is what the Niners are known for, and they just got to give them a taste of their own medicine.
Diana, got to tackle. Also got to get off the field on 3rd down if you are the Rams defense. That is something they could not do in Week 18, as the Niners converted 64% of their 3rd downs. That allows them to control the football, control the clock, and keep Matthew Stafford and co. on the other sideline. So what might the Rams, Raheem Morris, their defensive coordinator, do to maybe force the Niners to throw the football more, which is not their strength, and run it less, which of course is?
Yep. Yep, they got to keep them in 3rd and long, right? That's got to be their focus. And, I talked to Raheem about how they're going to actually do this. And it's so interesting when you talk to anyone on this defense, they say the same thing. The rest of the world may not have that much confidence in Jimmy Garoppolo, but this team believes that Jimmy can do damage. So while we all maybe believe that this Rams defense is going to force the game to be put in the hands of Jimmy, that's not how they're going to be playing this. While they know that the run game is way more dangerous, it's creative. Kyle is known for this. He's the best in the game at doing this and conducting and coordinating it. They are also fearful of Jimmy Garoppolo with the ball in his hand, especially the way he's been playing the last few weeks. But 3rd and long, that's got to be the goal for them.
Diana, outstanding work as always. If you have any extra time between now and kickoff, please try to find a beanie for Darlington so he can make it through the football game.
I know. Everyone go buy your own package of Darlingtons to wipe your nose during this cold and flu season.
The absolute best. Thank you so much, Diana. Enjoy the game today. Let's bring Erin Dolan back into the mix as we get set to unload some of our favorite bets on today's NFC Championship game. Rams -3.5, total of 45.5. Erin, please give us your 56 favorite bets for this game.
Should I spew all of them out right away? I'm not
Yes.
sure. I don't know what we're doing here. We going plays, we going props? I don't know. So I'll just give them all at once.
Listen,
so
the quicker
Rams
you
first half
stop
-3.
talking, that means Tyler starts talking. I don't want to hear from him. Take your time, whatever you like.
So I'm talking for the rest of the show, I guess. Talking for the rest of the show. Okay. Rams first half -3. They've outscored their opponents in the last 2 games in that first half, 41-3. They've been jumping out to ginormous leads. They were up 21 on the Cardinals at half. They were up on the Bucs 20-3. The last time these two teams met, they were up 17-3. I see the Rams jumping out to a quick start against these 49ers. I don't trust them in the second half of games, considering the Bucs almost came back in that game, and then the 49ers, the last time these two teams played, did come back in that second half, forced in overtime, and then won in overtime. Now, another pick that I like is under for OBJ's receiving yards. It's at 54.5. This is a very popular bet. Basically, every article that I've read has said to go over this. But the reason I'm going under this is, one, it's been bet up too high, I believe. We also have OBJ, who's had in each of his games against the 49ers just 18 receiving yards. And we saw last week against the Packers, yes, Devontae Adams, he had 9 receptions for 90 yards, but every other receiver below him only had 1 catch for 6 yards or less. So I don't know if OBJ is going to get as much production, especially if Cooper Kupp, which I know that's their number 1 wide receiver. They're going to want to throw the ball to him first. I'm not sure OBJ is going to get over that number.
All right, Erin. That's a nice little menu for this matchup. I, of course, just do what I'm asked. That's just the bare minimum, all right?
Absolutely the worst person on earth to be in a school project with.
I am the guy who shows up that Friday morning, signs my name, stands there while Joe and Erin give their picks, and then takes the B on the report card. I got one pick here, okay? And it's Eli Mitchell, the Niners running back, to go over 17.5 carries. Now, last game in the divisional round against the Packers, he had just 17 carries. That would not pass this ticket. However, the previous 6 games before that, Mitchell had at least 20 totes of the football, and that includes that Week 18 matchup against the Rams when the Rams jumped out to a 17-point lead. You would think negative game script, you can't still run the rock, but Kyle Shanahan knows whether his team is up or down, the best way to put points on the board is to keep on hammering the run. So this is almost a game script agnostic pick when it comes to the 49ers. They will run the football no matter what the game or the clock or the score looks like, and Mitchell has taken that baton from Kyle Shanahan over 17.5, again, something he has done in 8 of the last 10 games that the 49ers have played, including Week 18 against these very Rams. We know Jimmy G is a little banged up. We know the strength of the Niners is their rushing attack. Debo will get his totes as well, but Mitchell's the guy who's going to have the most. I'm thinking at least 18 carries in this game.
I make my jokes, but that was absolutely phenomenal. Game script agnostic pick. Is that what that was?
That was
brilliant.
How I tried to kind of confuse you guys from my lack of quantity.
Yeah, not
I
a
go
lot of
quality with the words, the big words.
It's like eating at the French Laundry. You're not going to get lots of food, but the food that comes out is going to be beautiful. See how I slid that in there?
I was verbose,
Class.
though, as usual.
Very classy.
That's another way to make one pick sound like 2 or 3. Talk about the one pick for 5 minutes.
Quite loquacious, this man. Quite loquacious.
Very good.
All right. So my favorite bet in this game is coming up in just a second, and take it to the bank. But I didn't want to be redundant because we want to give you as much action as possible. So another one I like, simply picking the game. San Francisco plus 3.5. Give me the points here. The way I like to look at it, we can throw all types of stats and numbers out there, but what I've been talking about the last 2 days is relatively simple. You have two quarterbacks that are 2-0 in the postseason, Stafford and Garoppolo. And I do this like this to illustrate my point. Stafford's playing the best football of his career. Garoppolo's playing lousy football, but they're both 2-0. So what happens if Matthew Stafford regresses just a bit? After all, he has thrown 4 interceptions and taken 7 sacks against this Niners team this season. And what happens if Garoppolo doesn't stink today? It's not asking much. Maybe he comes up a little bit to right here. After all, he's completed 74% of his passes against the Rams this season. So here we go. And with this team, I get 3.5 points, an extra day of rest, and more fans in the stands because there's going to be more red and gold than there is blue and yellow, I guess
they call it soul. The technical color is soul, like that of the sun.
I roll my eyes at them, not you. Thank you for that fact. I will not be addressing it as such. It's going to be the Niners plus the 3.5. Quick bonus pick. Cam Akers under 62.5 rushing yards. Why is this number so high considering he's averaging less than 3 yards per carry?
Because he's getting a lot of carries. In the 2 games that he's played this postseason, 17 carries against Arizona, and that probably would have been more had the game not been so out of hand. And then 24 carries against the Buccaneers team that everyone knows you don't run against. But Sean McVay still fed him 24 carries. They weren't efficient. He averaged just 2 yards per carry. But I think that's why this number is coming up, because people are projecting, even with the 2 fumbles last week, McVay is going to ride this guy 6 months after his Achilles tear.
All right, let's take it to the bank. Absolute best bets for today's 2 games. Championship round, Chiefs Bengals in the afternoon/morning, depending on where you're at. And then the nightcap with the 49ers and the Rams. Take a look last week. Woo! Tyler was out of the country enjoying himself in Mexico. Dolan with a nice push, not losing any money. Fortenbaugh red hot. Can't stop that freight train. The largest green check mark ever. Keep in mind we're indulging this because I have been ice cold literally everywhere else. I didn't even think I won that bet. I thought I picked something else and had lost and had to be informed earlier today that I did in fact pick a winner. And I did it by half a yard.
Hey, John Popper said, and the hook brings you back.
Very nicely done. All right, let's lead with Erin. Erin, your absolute favorite bet today. You have been on fire. I feel like I'm saying that every week, and yet you refuse to cool off. Job well done. What do you like today? What's the best one for you?
My goal for this weekend is just to next week when we're on this, get that big green check mark like you. That was fantastic.
Yeah.
For this one, I'm looking at rookie Evan McPherson to have over 6.5 total kicking points. He had 27 points in the last 2 games, 13 against the Titans. While he is a rookie, it seems like the Bengals truly trust him, and he's been able to, put these through the field goal in just basically every situation from any amount of yards. So I do trust him in this match, and I do think that if it comes down to it, we saw what he did last time. He was able to get that overtime win based on him. So I do like Evan McPherson to go over 6.5 total kicking points.
Yeah, kickers have been big in this NFL postseason, and McPherson has come up big for those Cincinnati Bengals all year long. Guys, I'm going to go back to it. I mentioned it earlier. I think after some consternation, there are only 2 things that a human can do that are more satisfying than having a Patrick Mahomes over in a playoff game. I'll leave those 2 things to your imagination.
Please don't say it.
I'll leave those 2 things to your imagination. But that's what I have right here. The third most exciting, most comfortable, most fun thing to have, a Patrick Mahomes over ticket in the postseason. 293.5 is his passing yardage prop. I am expecting a shootout, a back-and-forth affair where both teams are putting points on the board. I think Burrow and the Bengals will push the Kansas City Chiefs. And if that does indeed happen, that means Mahomes is going to do what he always does in the postseason, which is throw for 3 bills or more. 310.6 passing yards per game in his postseason career. This season, in 2 postseason games, he's averaging 391. He went for 404 against the Steelers and just a meager 366 against the Buffalo Bills, although that game required overtime. Bottom line is, I think this will be a high-scoring game. I think the Bengals will push Mahomes and the Chiefs, and if that is the case, betting against Mahomes in the playoffs, not usually a winning recipe, so I like him over 292.5.
Never in my life have I known someone so willing to just walk up to the line of acceptability, dance on it, and then walk back. It's really brilliant. You would be that guy that would walk out into the demilitarized zone between North and South Korea.
Yeah.
And just go, hey, where is everyone?
I'd do a little dance out there.
What are all these landmine-looking things sticking out of the ground? They are, in fact, landmines. They will blow you up. But we digress. Enough of our Eastern politics for one show. Best bet today, Matthew Stafford throws at least one interception. This bet was minus 110 earlier in the week. We talked about it all week. Now it's up to minus 130, so some of the value is gone. But it was a great proposition and is still a strong proposition because Stafford has looked so good in these 2 playoff games, right? Everyone's riding that high, so you're getting a somewhat discounted price. Remember something, he threw 8 interceptions over his final 4 games of the regular season, and in both meetings against the Niners this year, he threw 2 picks. The Niners are going to bring the pass rush. They've sacked Stafford 7 times in 2 games this year. They sacked Aaron Rodgers a season-high 5 times last week. They sacked Dak Prescott a season-high 5 times 2 weeks ago. One mistake is all I need, and I'm betting that happens today. Matthew Stafford to throw at least 1 interception. Let's put a bow on this entire show. Final Sunday bet of the football season. We want to look at the NBA. Before I Let You Go is the name of the game, and it's any acceptable bet imaginable. Total side prop of the National Basketball Association for Sunday. Erin, you lead us off. Where do you want to go?
I'm looking at Denver versus Milwaukee. Now, Milwaukee hasn't been great in terms of covering the spread in the last 10 games. They're 3-7 ATS, and I just don't trust them against this Denver Nuggets team. Yes, they're down a ton of players, but you still have Nikola Jokic, so I'm a little concerned about that. That's why I'm playing them in the first quarter. I'm playing them in terms of the spread, not the money line in this one. They're they opened minus 1.5. They got as high as minus 2.5. It's back down to minus 2, so that's where I'm going to lay it right now. And in the last 10 games, they are 8-2 ATS in that first half. So I'd like them to jump out to that quick start because we know they're a first half type team. I just don't trust them in the second half of that game.
All right, before I let you go, I will tell you that eating is one of the 2 things that feels as good as holding the Patrick Mahomes over.
That's not the one we were concerned about.
All right, I think you know where the next one goes. In the association, though, a guy who's been eating all season long is Zach LaVine of the Chicago Bulls. The Bulls are hosting the Trailblazers today at the United Center, and we know the Blazers not that good on defense, especially when they are on the road. With Lonzo Ball, Caruso out, the bulk of the scoring belongs to Vooch, DeRozan, and of course Zach LaVine, who has come back in 3 games and played at least 35 minutes in all 3. He went for 30 last game. His point prop for this matchup is 24.5. In a game with a total near 230, where I expect the Bulls to win and score a lot of points, and one of their 2 leading scorers probably going to go off, I'm isolating LaVine over DeRozan because it's a lower threshold, 24.5, and LaVine plays the same position, does the same thing as Minnesota Timberwolves star Anthony Edwards. Why do I bring that up? Well, if you recall earlier this week, Edwards put up a 40-burger against this Trailblazers team. The 2 have very similar games, play the same spot on the floor, and I think LaVine will again go off, maybe not to the tune of 40, but I think 30 is well within the reach for LaVine in a matchup against a Portland defense that is oh so accommodating to wing scorers like Zach LaVine. We need 25 today from the Bulls all-star guard.
Job well done. I have not picked the best bet correctly on Daily Wager since Biden took office. It's been a disaster. I can't find my way anywhere. Underdogs, favorites, sides, props, totals, hockey. I think I had some random soccer game in there. Ice cold, to say the least. So here's what I'm going to do. Misery loves company, right? Give me the biggest losers in the NBA today. That's my squad. The Orlando Magic +5. Unlike me, the Magic are red hot right now. They've won 2 of 3, which is huge for them because they only have 10 wins all season. And they had rest last night.
You're taking them +5 against Dallas?
They're going to win the game outright. Mark my words. What? They're going to win the game outright, he says, with extreme concern, realizing he's betting on the Orlando Magic. I like the rest advantage here, which they have. This is the 4th game in 6 nights for Dallas. Dallas played yesterday. They blew out Indiana. I have to imagine I have some other stat here. Yeah, low total, 211.5 points. So if I have 5 and it's a low-scoring tight game, maybe that matters. Look, I don't have a lot of conviction, all right? I've been getting killed as of late, and I wanted to find the biggest loser on the board, so that's the Orlando Magic. It's going to hit.
The Orlando Magic. I mean, Dallas has been hot as of late. I don't know if there's anyone on Orlando that can check Luka.
That ends today. Dallas and all their success. That's
a good hot take, though.
Today.
Well, Joe looked at the board and said, you know what? This looks strange, and I hate Orlando. And since I can't win a bet, I'm going to bet on Orlando.
I hate this
Sometimes
show.
That's how you get out of a slump.
Yeah, you know what? Or Just stop me if you've heard this one before. Orlando gets rolled by 30, and we're back here tomorrow talking about how bad that pick was. That's it. Show's over. She's Erin Dolan. She's fantastic. He's Tyler Fulghum. He's above average. I'm Joe Fortenbaugh, and I'm here. That's really all there is to say at this point. Enjoy the games today. Best of luck. New bet schedule starts this week, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. We'll see you tomorrow. Enjoy the games, and thank you for watching.